Diocesan Roundtable examines a variety of current and important issues. People from around the Diocese of Youngstown share their input into topics that affect your local church and community. Your program host is Father James Korda.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of Diocesan Roundtable. Today we welcome some friends from the Orthodox faith who will not only share with you their faith and their ministry, but also a special monastery called the Monastery of the Transfiguration. It's in Elwood City, Pennsylvania. Joining us in today's show is the foundress and the first abbess of the monastery, Mother Alexandra, and it's so nice that you could be on our show today.
I am extremely happy that you have given me this occasion to come and speak to you about our monastery, of which we are very proud and which is the chief reason really of my existence today.
Thank you, Mother. Also joining us is the pastor of St. Mark's Orthodox Church in Liberty, Father Dan Rohan, and it's so nice that you could be on our show too.
Thank you for this invitation to be here.
As we had mentioned, we're going to share with you the Monastery of the Transfiguration and its history. And I'd like to ask Mother Alexandra to begin that discussion by telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, especially in Romania, and how you found your way to Elwood City.
Well, the story is very long, and longer certainly than I can tell it now, but I was born in Romania. My name then was Ileana, and I was the youngest daughter of my parents, King Ferdinand and Queen Marie of Romania. And we were brought up in a very happy family circle, and this family included really the entire country. I think that this is something that many people don't understand, how close we were to the people and how much my parents really considered themselves parents first of the country and of us afterwards. We children were all brought up in the Orthodox faith because it's the faith of the country. The great majority of our people are Orthodox. In fact, more or less, if somebody isn't Orthodox, we don't really think he's Romanian. And really, it's usually the minorities that are not Orthodox. The rest of the country is Orthodox. Therefore, we by law have to be baptized Orthodox and were brought up Orthodox. And I am very grateful that it was so, because it's been the mainstay of my life and has sustained me through all the years of exile, all the sorrows, everything that's come upon me, and gave me the strength in the end when I had finished with bringing up my children to be able to do that which I wanted to do and give my life to God.
Mother, when you left Romania, where did you go next? And if you could tell us a little bit about your preparing to be a nun. Where was that?
Oh, well, when we left Romania, we first went to Argentina, and then for 2 years, then we came to the United States, where the children had their education, and then the children began to go back to Europe. The things settled down in Europe. I mustn't forget that when we came over, part of Europe was still under Russian domination, and all the countries were divided up between all the allies, and it wasn't a very comfortable situation. And so after the children were able to do as they wanted to do, I joined a Russian small monastery for women in France. And I was there for 6 years, and I was professed 23 years ago. and with the idea of coming back to the United States to start a Orthodox monastery for women where the services would be in English, and all the teaching would be in English, so that it would be open to all Orthodox people, indifferent of what their ethnic descent was.
Was this the first monastery of its kind in the United States?
Well, no, the Russians had and still have big monasteries, but they are extremely Russian and very Slavonic.
So they're not the vernacular,
They're
in
not
other
the
words.
vernacular.
Mother basically established the first English-speaking monastery.
But I'm not the only one now,
Yes.
anymore.
Yeah, not anymore.
No, not anymore.
But
There
you were a
are others.
pioneer, though.
I was a
in
pioneer.
doing that.
And we still are the pioneers in the sense of music, and that we are very traditional, and so that a tremendous work is going on all the time in the monastery of translating out of Slavonic, out of Greek, setting it to music, bringing in new music, bringing music from all different ethnic descents. Some of them are very, very beautiful. And also out of Romanian we translate, and so all this is a combination which I think is unique to us.
I'd like to ask Father Dan if you could share with us a little bit about monasticism within the Orthodox faith and Orthodox community. Has that always been part of the Orthodox life and faith?
With the development of Christianity, or I say the acceptance of Christianity back by the 4th century, when the persecution of the Christians stopped, Constantine kind of legalized religion at that point, the Christian religion, and then made the Orthodox faith an official faith. So during that time you had the development of various seats of the Christian community in Rome, in Constantinople, Alexandra, Jerusalem, and so forth. And in that process, when the church had the freedom to express itself, that is basically when monasticism began. And the founding father of monasticism, which is also recognized in the Roman Church, is St. Anthony. And it is from him that the basic foundation started. But the main church father that I think had a great influence upon the Byzantine Christian Empire and developing monasticism was St. Basil the Great. So from its inception of the Christian faith itself, monasticism began back in the 4th century. It was the focal point that did all the philanthropical work in the community. It was the focal point that really, even when the churches were in crises, that the monastic community itself defended the church and its theology. So we really have an ancient faith in that respect as far as the monastic community. Even Saint Benedict of the West really took his discipline from the Eastern Church itself.
Mother, when you were professed 23 years ago, you came to this country and you began the Monastery of the Transfiguration. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you experienced those first few months and how you actually began?
Well, how we actually began was, first of all, to find a place, which took quite some time, and then because it was a question of it being in a good place and within our financial possibilities. Well, we decided on Elwood City, and I came over. I was to come with another nun, but she unfortunately became very sick, and so I came over alone. And it's something I'd advise nobody else to do again. It's very hard. The place in Elwood City was very beautiful, but there was no road, and there was no light, and there was no nothing, in fact. And in fact, there wasn't even a way of getting there, because when we bought it, we didn't realize that it hadn't an act. So I had to live somewhere, meanwhile. And after staying a little bit with the priest in Elwood City, and with my son in Detroit, and finally I bought a trailer with the idea that, of course, I could put it on my land, which I was, and again, a delusion because there was no water and there was no road, you couldn't get it there. So I started in a way which I think is probably very rare. I started in a trailer camp in Toronto, Ohio, a very sad little place to start anything in. But I pulled my curtains and God was with me, and that's how we started. And finally in May 68, we moved the trailer up at last onto the grounds of the monastery, where the monastery building had already started.
I see. I'm fascinated by the name of the monastery. I know that there's a deep reverence in the Orthodox faith of the Transfiguration, but what was behind the name? Was there anything in your heart at the time or in your mind that kind of
well,
compelled
very
you to name it
definitely,
that?
I meant to choose one of the 12 great feasts for the name of the monastery, but it seemed to me that in this modern life of ours, where everything has become so frightfully materialistic, there is a very great need of transfiguration, of a change of our attitude, of our way of thinking, our way of behaving, our way of holding ourselves. Everything needs a new Christianization. We must become more aware of the Christ within us. We are, I think today, terribly materialistically minded. We are wonderfully well organized. We can have everything. Everything is very well done. Yet somehow there is something missing. And I've always wondered, now what is missing? What is missing is Christ.
To add to that, Father, the idea of theosis, it's a Greek word meaning deification. God became man so that man could become like God. Our whole process, actually, the spiritual life, in a sense, is monastic. Even though we live in the world, is to constantly live a daily life with Christ and developing our spiritual character through the eyes of the church and the guidance of the church to become holy people, to become saintly people, to become a holy nation of God, you know, as it said in 1 Peter. So the idea of transfiguration also, I think, coincides with our theology of theosis, or deification of man becoming like a God, because God became man.
The interesting thing of the actual event of Christ's transfiguration was that he brought with him 3 of his close friends who were experiencing his humanity, his being like them, and then caught a glimpse of what they were called to be like Christ, but also to catch a glimpse of the divinity within them. Yeah. So in a real sense, that's what we as Christians celebrate. And to bring that into this modern world, and to use that as an ideal, to say that we need to be transfigured, we need to, in a real sense, rid ourselves of what holds us back from being transfigured and from seeing the divine within us.
I think another point too, Father, is the fact is in dealing with the Christology of Christ himself, the 2 natures of Christ, which was a problem in the early church, especially with the Arian controversy, that Christ in his human nature was divine, and also in his divine nature he was, godly too. So we also get a glimpse of that in our understanding, our theology, as part of that transfiguration of Christ's 2 natures.
Mother, if you could share with us some of the charism of your monastery, some of the ministry that happens there.
Well, I think that our ministry is really the people who come to us and seem to find a rest and purification and a quietude with which to go back to face their everyday life. That's our effect on other people. Also, I have noticed that we are called a great deal to speak in different parishes, and that we really do seem to have a message to bring them, which astonishes them. And I think here I'd like to say something now. I think important it is that we should wear our monastic dress, that even if people don't know who you are or what you are, but if they see you in the airport, you do look different from other people. And they do ask themselves the question, what is that? In fact, we know a little girl who asked her mother in the supermarket, "Mother, what is it?"
Were you nearby to respond?
Yes, so we responded to what we were, that we were nuns, and that we gave our life to God. And there, you see, it gives you an occasion, and really, even without opening our mouths, we are, in a sense, a
witness.
A witness to a certain way of living.
Now, the garb that you are wearing, Mother, that's a typical garb of the Orthodox.
It's the one that all Orthodox wear. The one that we are wearing at the moment is specific of Romania, but it is not different, very different from
The others.
The others. They have little variations. But we do not, like in the West, have different orders. There's only one order, the order of the Church. And we all have the same rule of Saint Sava, the rule of Jerusalem, which comes from the 5th century, and which of course has developed through the years. But astonishingly enough, you'll find that all the books of ours, of the Orthodox, they're printed in Serbia or Romania or Palestine or wherever, they're all the same.
What I find interesting is that the people that come to you for rest, for prayer and healing, are not just people of the Orthodox faith.
No, people come from different churches. Some of them convert, some of them certainly do not and remain faithfully what they were, but find that it's good to come and rest. We have the clergy, the Protestant clergy of Elwood City also come for one day's retreat, which we give them the facilities to meet there, and they feel it's a different place.
Sure.
Somehow it's different.
They also, too, besides, we want to emphasize this being an English-speaking monastery is not necessarily made up of Orthodox mothers. I use the word mother here because those who finally make the final vow to become a nun are referred to as mothers. Those who are still in the novice stage are referred to as sisters. That's within our tradition. But out of the number of nuns there, I think a majority of them are, at least 80% of them are converts. Am I correct on that?
No, exactly half.
Half? Okay.
Exactly half. At the moment, I think it is exactly half. 6 of us are born Orthodox and the others are converted to Orthodoxy. But it's interesting that we come from very, very different backgrounds. And for instance, we have a girl who was from the Aleut Islands, from way out in the Bering Sea, and a very capable girl. And our abbess was a social worker, and another one was a teacher, and another was a teller she convert from Lutheranism, I think, in Canada. And so we have them from everywhere. And all together, the remarkable part, well, you know that yourself from your own lives, that the monastic life does make it possible for us to all live together peacefully, which is really remarkable in many ways, because our ages are very different. And our backgrounds are very different.
You had mentioned before the taping, we were talking about it is an English-speaking monastery, and I was asking how many are American, and you had mentioned that the two of you are from Europe, mainly Romanian.
Yes, well, two of us are Romanian, and the others are all American.
The one from Romania, was her background similar to yours?
No, not at all. No, she was the daughter of a professor, and she married a famous professor, I believe. And she is a widow and the mother of one or two children and has her own family too, but she is getting old. I always say that, but the same age, but she's somehow older than I am. And she's a very dear person, and she spends lots of time in prayer. And of course, a lot of Romanians come to us because it is in the Romanian episcopate. It is a Romanian foundation, and so a great deal of Romanians do come. And I think that they feel a great consolation to find this monastery where they can come and open their hearts, and they feel that they can follow their tradition. For instance, one family now where the mother has died. Now, we have a service 40 days after the death. Well, they have the habit that in Romania they go to a monastery to have it's different to have a service done in this. So they're going to have the memorial service in the monastery because that's how they did it in Romania. You know. So in many ways we serve the Romanian people that they can fulfill their tradition by coming to us. And of course they can speak to me in Romanian, and I listen to them, and we try to have a few words in Romanian in the service for them, and some of the hymns in Romanian, so that they should also feel at home. Sure. We have had, in fact, a wonderful union with those who have come out of Romania and those who come used in the things. Of course now have changed very much, but it was quite brave of them to come to the monastery where I was, but they did, and they always carried it back, and I've been quite astonished now to get so many letters from Romania telling us so much how they know what we've been doing and about the monastery and what I've written, and they want my books and things like that.
Would there be many family that you still have in Romania, or relatives, or are they all out of Romania?
No, we have no relatives at all in Romania, and if there had been any, they certainly would be dead by now. But and in fact, really my generation has gone. So it's very few have been left over of the old ones. But it doesn't seem to have made any difference, which is very moving, deeply moving.
I just want to mention also, in conjunction with this monastery, several of the mothers left. There were 3 mothers that were from Romania that came to the monastery, Mother Benedicta, and stayed with them for a number of years. But they, what is beautiful about this monastery is that it's also, through the grace of God, has brought some others in that have left to establish another monastery. So, in other words, a sister monastery has been established from the Monastery of the Transfiguration, which is located in Rives Junction, Michigan now, and known as the Monastery of the Dormition. I thought I'd just mention that.
We only have about 5 minutes left. Perhaps I think it might be appropriate if we give you an opportunity to share a little bit about, if you know, what the state of the Orthodox Church in Romania is. Is it thriving? Is it growing?
I think that at the moment it's very difficult to assess exactly what the situation of the church is. I would say that certainly it is thriving. And it has managed to survive in one way or another in a most extraordinary way, especially in the depth of the hearts of the people themselves. One has really seen that what we have always felt in the Orthodox Church, that we each one are a defender of the faith. And this has really come to the fore in an extraordinary way, that it is the people that have kept it alive. It's the priests in the village parishes that have been the ones who have carried the fire. I think one must not be too severe either in our judgment of those who have compromised, because thanks to them we have got the best theological schools that are going. They are absolutely tops. We have printing presses which do print, if they have paper. This is one of the things that I'm going to try and do, is to get paper and ink to them so that we can have Bibles reprinted. But the possibility is all there. It does exist. And there are actually, and there were, more Orthodox churches open in Romania than in the whole of Russia, which is, I think, indicative of the strength of the church within the country. Mm-hmm. I think that speaks more loudly than if here and there's a hierarch who wasn't perhaps as ready to be a martyr as we would have liked him to be. Mm-hmm.
Mother, what would be, very briefly, what would be your hope for Romania?
My hope for Romania is that it should really be free, that Romania should be of one mind, that there should be no splintering of their political or religious feelings, that they should understand themselves as a nation, a Christian nation, one people who have one decision to take. And I only pray and hope that they will be allowed to do this. I think that the influences from outside are still extremely powerful and are still playing a very great role, well, unfortunately. And but after all, there's only a very short time since the revolution, and I think we have to give them time.
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly know of our prayers and support for that as well, and your presence on our show has made it very special. So we certainly thank you for that, and know that one day we'd like to visit the monastery of the Transfiguration and bring that to the people that are with us now. So hopefully we can do that down the road. Thank you.
Just to mention also too that tradition, every year on August 6th is the feast day of the Transfiguration for the Orthodox community, and that's always a very, very big event when we have pilgrims coming to the monastery, and we just like to keep that in mind for our general public.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Father Dan, Mother Alexandra. God bless you. Thank you for being with us on this special edition of Diocesan Roundtable. Have a good day, and God be with you.
This has been Diocesan Roundtable, a production of CTNY, the Catholic Telecommunication Network of the Diocese of Youngstown. Tune in each week at this time for more information on issues that affect you. Your program host has been Father James Korda.